It's going to be a jump. Now here it looked like a jump. There, this looks like a foul to me.
Yeah.
Indiana, and you can see Caitlin saying you were right in front of her. What made you?
You just never know what's going to happen. It was worse than I thought from looking at it.
But when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times.
Caitlin Clark completely lost it on the referees after witnessing Sophie Cunningham get blatantly leveled with no foul called. And honestly, the entire WNBA should be embarrassed. The Indiana Fever's nail-biting 78-74 win over the Seattle Storm wasn't just another close game. It highlighted everything wrong with officiating in professional basketball right now, where obvious calls are ignored and player safety is treated like an afterthought.
I don't even know what the players can do because the players aren't being protected. And I know so many of the times, like, we're talking about this when it comes to the Indiana Fever, but this does happen across the league. There are many plays that we could pull up. Do you guys have any suggestions on what can actually be done? The coaches get fined when they call them out to the media. Like, this is a top-down issue. This is a commissioner.
Sophie Cunningham had just secured a defensive rebound and was holding onto the ball when a Storm player blatantly threw her to the ground like they were playing football, not basketball. The ref stood just feet away, watching the whole thing unfold like a casual spectator at a local park, completely failing to do his job or uphold any standard of professionalism.
Am I ever advocating for players to throw other players on the ground? No, like we've seen so much of it throughout the WNBA. He watches this happen right in front of him. There's so much contact on the play and he does nothing. He doesn't blow his whistle. He doesn't stop the play.
That's when Caitlin Clark erupted from the sideline, despite being sidelined for 7 straight games with a lingering groin injury, unable to stay quiet any longer as she watched the chaos unfold. Interview 4.
We have updates and our recovery's going well. You know, it's just, I think for us staying the course and making sure that we're really diligent about each step that we take and that we don't have setbacks and that we're patient with it. I know she wants to be out here on the floor and we want her out here on the floor, but making sure that she's ready is the most important thing. You know, I still don't know how far we are. We're going to take it one step at a time, one day at a time.
Clark couldn't stay silent after witnessing such blatant incompetence, shouting at the official, "You were right in front of her. Why did you change your mind?" And honestly, every basketball fan in America should be asking the same thing. The level of officiating on display was next level awful. And if you're sick of refs ruining the game and want to see Sophie Cunningham keep being a savage on the court, smash that like button and drop Sophie Savage in the comments. This situation is spiraling, and the drama around WNBA officiating has hit a boiling point that can't be ignored. Clark's outburst wasn't just emotion. It was a spotlight on what's become the league's biggest problem this season.
The officiating in the WNBA, I kind of already went off on it, but it's just atrocious. Really, really bad. Like, there have got to be rules to present overt physicality from dominating the game. And that's what we've got. We've got it in the NBA, we've got it in the WNBA. Nobody wants to call a bunch of fouls, but these officials don't know what a foul is and a foul isn't. They can't even tell when a ball goes out of bounds. Like, you've got 2 million plus people watching some of these games. You have got to have a correctly officiated product, or at least confidently officiated product, and competently officiated product.
The referee situation in the WNBA has officially become a complete disaster, and it's no longer just Indiana Fever fans speaking up. Players, coaches, and fans across the league are calling out the officials for their consistently terrible decision-making week after week. Just think about how absurd it's gotten. Sophie Cunningham was fined $500 for posting a TikTok calling the refs stupid and useless, yet blatant physical assaults during games go completely unpunished. That tells you everything you need to know about the WNBA's priorities right now, and the league's response has been just as disappointing. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert had the audacity to claim that winning teams never complain about officiating, while losing teams always do. Arguably the most tone-deaf response possible when your league's biggest star is getting hacked every night and refs act like nothing's happening. The situation has spiraled so far out of control that respected coaches like Becky Hammon are publicly losing their minds, and veteran players like Kelsey Plum are showing up to press conferences covered in scratches. wondering how they only shot 6 free throws after getting mauled for 4 quarters.
And I got scratches on my face, I got scratches on my body, and these guards on the other team get these ticky-tack fouls, and I'm sick of it. I get fouled like that every possession. The kid gets fouled like that in the post all the time, and they don't call it, and I don't know what else to do. Like, it's really frustrating, though. I'm like, I feel I mean, there are multiple shots at the end of the game, either go into the third, into the fourth, where they're just coming and just swinging, and they just.
But while all eyes are on the referee disaster, one bright spot continues to shine through the chaos. Sophie Cunningham, who just delivered another spectacular performance that proves she's become the Fever's most reliable clutch player in Caitlin Clark's absence.
That's a PNW win! W's in the chat.
W's in the chat.
Oh my gosh. That one just aged me, but we're getting better. Shoot, good win. Wins a win.
A dub is a dub, so keep on rolling.
Good job. Let's go.
I'm really proud of you guys.
There were so many ways in a close game and in game situation where we grew today that were huge for us, y'all. That will pay dividends. So great job. I'm proud of you guys. Everybody contributed. Everybody came in and gave us a lift. Kels, I know it was a tough shooting day, but the way you facilitated and that one big jumper that you made. We dug in and got stops when we needed to. I mean, big time win, y'all.
Sophie Cunningham went 5 of 6 from the field and an incredible 4 of 5 from three-point range to finish with 17 points. And here's the wild part that shows just how heavily the team is leaning on her. She was the only Indiana Fever player to make a single three-pointer all game. That's as much a testament to Sophie's clutch performance as it is a red flag for the rest of the roster.
Games from Sophie Cunningham, the only player on the Indiana Fever to make her threes tonight. The Indiana Fever were 4 of 21 from downtown, and Sophie Cunningham hit all 4 of those threes. 17 points. And the difference between this and the Lynx game, which was Sophie Cunningham's last really good breakout game, this wasn't late. This was, oh, we're struggling offensively. Somebody needs to come through, and Sophie Cunningham came.
Sophie Cunningham's incredible run of form is no accident. She's been on an absolute tear lately, earning the nickname the Blonde Bomber from fans for her clutch shot making when it matters most. Her confidence has skyrocketed since that viral fight where she defended Caitlin Clark and instantly became a fan favorite. After the Connecticut Sun Brawl, she gained over 800,000 followers and saw her jersey sales explode. And now she's playing like someone who knows the entire basketball world is watching her every move. And honestly, she's delivering in the most spectacular way possible.
Blonde Bomber, Sophie the Trophy lit it up again tonight. Man, she has been nothing short of spectacular as of late. 5 of 6 from the floor, 4 of 5 from 3, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, 17 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. Sophie, the Blonde Bomber, has been on fire. Sophie stepped it up in a big time way. That is what you need. When your best player is out, you need the ancillary pieces to step up and deliver. And that is what Sophie Cunningham has.
Sophie Cunningham's transformation from role player to legitimate star has been one of the most entertaining storylines of the season, fully embracing the enforcer role while also emerging as the team's most consistent offensive weapon, something you rarely see in professional basketball. But even her heroics couldn't fully mask what nearly became another classic Fever meltdown, as Indiana almost blew a 13-point third-quarter lead in painfully familiar fashion. At this point, it feels like comfortable leads give the Fever coaching staff anxiety, and the collapse pattern is all too recognizable for long-suffering fans.
Did everything possible to blow a game but still come out with the win. That was a near epic level collapse, folks. Wow, it should have never gotten that close. Lexi Hull, Stephanie White waited till the very, very last minute to put Hull in on defense. She should have been in there from 2 minutes in, 2.5 minutes in on defense. They could not seem to get a big rebound to save their life. And this almost turned into a disaster.
The Indiana Fever just almost pushed me to a heart attack. The Indiana Fever nearly blow a 12-point fourth quarter lead. We allow the Seattle Storm to go on an 11-0 run in the fourth quarter. Stephanie White, I keep telling y'all, I don't trust her. I'm sorry. We give up a 11-0 run within the last 4 minutes to let this team cut the lead down.
The Fever held a 55-42 lead midway through the third quarter, fueled by Sophie Cunningham's hot shooting and solid contributions from the supporting cast. But then, true to form when Clark isn't on the floor, they completely unraveled, playing like they'd never seen a basketball before. Seattle capitalized with a 10-2 run to close the quarter, slicing the lead to just 4 heading into the final 12 minutes. And what should have been a routine road win suddenly morphed into yet another stress-filled nightmare for Fever fans everywhere. The fourth quarter collapse nearly happened again, and it was a full-blown heart attack waiting to unfold, as the Storm clawed their way back to cut the lead to 73-72 with just over 3 minutes remaining. At that moment, you could practically hear every Fever fan reaching for their blood pressure meds, because we've all seen this movie before, and it rarely ends well. This team has developed an infuriating habit of building big leads only to forget how to play basketball when it matters most.
Boy, they almost blew it. Nonsensical whistles to stop runs, or how about blowing a whistle to stop the other team's run? Coming out in the second half, I will never back off of this. When you come out in the second half and you start losing leads, that is a coaching issue. I don't care what sport you're in. All right? Because what that tells you is the opposing coach went into the second in the halftime, made adjustments. The other team comes out, and they start figuring it out. Well, it's up to your coach. It's up to your coach to make adjustments against that.
It's like the Fever have some kind of psychological block when it comes to closing out games, and the main culprit behind this latest near disaster was painfully obvious to anyone watching. The biggest reason for the collapse was Kelsey Mitchell, who turned in one of the worst shooting performances of her entire career, an outing so rough, it was probably painful even for her. She went just 3 of 16 from the field and 0 of 8 from three-point range, essentially playing for the Seattle Storm for most of the night. Her shooting struggles have become so predictable, it feels like you could track them using the lunar calendar.
Could not get it going today, and I told y'all, she is a roller coaster. You gotta remember, she went off versus the Sky, then she was, 8 for 24, then she had a good game, then she was down again, then last game she was up, this game she's down again at 3 of 16. This is Kelsey Mitchell. She's a roller coaster. She's a roller coaster. She gave you 9 points on 3 of 16 shooting.
Kelsey Mitchell's inconsistency has become a defining trait, and it's frustrating for everyone involved, fans, teammates, and coaches alike. She's the textbook definition of a roller coaster player, capable of dropping 23 points one night and then shooting 18% the next, with absolutely no middle ground. That kind of unpredictability makes it nearly impossible for the coaching staff to know what they're getting from her on any given night. Over her last few games, she's made just 11 of her last 34 shots, a stretch of brutal inefficiency that's been hurting the team when they need stability the most. When your second leading scorer is shooting like she's blindfolded, winning becomes way harder than it needs to be. But thankfully for Indiana, other players stepped up to prevent what could have been a devastating collapse. Aaliyah Boston finally looked like the all-star she's supposed to be, delivering her second straight strong outing with 16 points and 12 rebounds on 7 of 11 shooting. She played like the dominant force we saw earlier in the season, before she seemingly vanished into some alternate dimension for the past month. Her stretch of 9 straight points in the middle of the fourth quarter basically saved the game for the Fever, as everything else around her was unraveling. Boston's recent resurgence couldn't have come at a better time, as she's finally starting to look like herself again after a rough stretch following Clark's injury. If she can keep playing at this level, it would solve a massive problem for the Fever, who desperately needs someone besides Sophie to step up with consistency. Her ability to control the paint and bully smaller players like Nneka Ogwumike is exactly what this team needs when their top playmaker is sidelined. And what's been most impressive is her renewed aggression on both ends of the floor. Boston's been attacking the rim with purpose, using her size to her advantage and showing much more activity on the defensive end. And that renewed intensity has been huge. But credit also has to go to veteran Natasha Howard, who's been quietly fantastic during this stretch. She poured in 21 points for the second straight game and has stepped up as a steadying force amid all the injuries and roster chaos. Howard's smart cuts to the basket and crafty finishes around the rim have been exactly what this team needs, and her basketball IQ has been invaluable for a squad that often looks completely lost without Caitlin Clark orchestrating the offense and creating easy looks. Natasha Howard knows exactly what her role is supposed to be, and she's executing it flawlessly by staying in her lane and not trying to do too much. Her veteran presence has been invaluable during this stretch without Caitlin Clark, serving as the steadying force that keeps the team grounded when things start to spiral. Her knack for making the right play at the right time has prevented multiple potential disasters, and you can clearly see younger players looking to her for guidance during timeouts and high-pressure moments. That's exactly what championship-caliber teams need from their veteran role players, and it's been refreshing to see in a league where too many players are chasing the spotlight instead of embracing their roles. Meanwhile, on the other side of the court, Seattle had every chance to steal this game, but couldn't execute when it counted. The Storm had multiple wide-open looks down the stretch and probably should have walked away with the win based on the opportunities they created. But once again, poor execution in crunch time doomed them, a recurring issue this season. Skylar Diggins-Smith missed 2 wide-open threes that could have completely shifted the momentum and changed the outcome. Nneka Ogwumike, who finished with 16 points, completely stalled in the fourth quarter when her team needed her most. And the most heartbreaking moment for Storm fans came right at the end. Gabby Williams had a clean look at a game-tying 3 at the buzzer. It looked perfect coming off her hand, but it just didn't drop. Sometimes, basketball comes down to those cruel bounces that decide wins and losses, and for Seattle, this one slipped away in the most painful way possible. The Storm's inability to close out games has been their biggest weakness this season. They have the talent to compete with anyone in the league, but they keep finding ways to lose games they should be winning. Their late-game execution has been shaky at best, and the lack of a clear hierarchy when it comes to who takes the big shots is starting to cost them. This ongoing pattern of fourth-quarter struggles is seriously damaging Seattle's playoff positioning, as they now sit at 16-13 and have dropped 3 of their last 4 home games. That's far from ideal when you're trying to lock in a playoff spot in what's become an incredibly competitive race for postseason positioning. The Storm are quickly running out of time to fix their chemistry issues and late-game execution, especially in a stacked Western Conference where every game has major implications for seeding and home court advantage. For Indiana, though, this win was huge, improving to 17-12 and pulling even with Seattle for the 5th best record in the WNBA, while also holding the crucial tiebreaker advantage. The Fever have now won 5 straight games without their best player, which is honestly remarkable considering how dependent they looked on Caitlin Clark earlier in the season. They're 9-7 in games she's missed, a surprisingly solid record for a team many expected to collapse without their superstar point guard. But this unexpected success also raises important questions about her return timeline. Looking ahead, Indiana's next few games are absolutely crucial, with tough opponents on the schedule and playoff positioning on the line. They'll need to keep the momentum going if they want to hold their spot, while Clark continues recovering from her groin injury. The fact that Caitlin Clark showed up to the arena in shorts, looking game-ready but ultimately not suiting up, has only fueled speculation about her true recovery timeline. Is the team just being overly cautious, or is there something more serious going on behind the scenes that they're not sharing with the public? With the playoff race heating up, every decision the Fever make carries added weight. The Western Conference standings are insanely tight, with multiple teams separated by just a few games, and every single win could be the difference between home court advantage or a brutal first-round matchup. What makes this win even more impressive is that the Fever managed to survive despite getting virtually nothing from their bench, aside from a few forgettable minutes from players who barely impacted the game. The second unit was completely invisible, and this lack of bench production remains a serious concern that could derail their playoff hopes. Indiana's lack of reliable depth has been exposed multiple times this season, and if they want to make a deep postseason run, that has to change. When starters like Kelsey Mitchell have off nights, as she did against Seattle, they need someone from the second unit to step up, and right now, that help just isn't there. You need either a scoring spark or defensive energy off the bench to shift momentum, And right now, the Fever aren't getting either. Coach Stephanie White has to figure out how to extract more from her role players, because relying on Sophie Cunningham to be flawless every night isn't a sustainable formula for long-term success. The coaching decisions in critical moments have also raised eyebrows, and in a league full of elite talent capable of taking over games, expecting miracles from the same handful of players night after night is unrealistic. If Indiana wants to survive a grueling playoff run, the bench has to start contributing meaningful minutes. Plain and simple. Stephanie White's questionable rotations and poor timeout management during the fourth quarter collapse only reinforced why so many fans are skeptical of her ability to handle high-pressure moments. All of these team concerns are unfolding against the backdrop of the league's escalating officiating crisis, an issue that's unfortunately become the dominant storyline of the WNBA season. Instead of celebrating the incredible basketball being played by elite athletes, the conversation keeps circling back to the refs, whose incompetence is not only ruining games, but also putting players at serious risk. Injuries are piling up because officials are failing to control the physicality, and it's overshadowing the progress and talent the league should be showcasing. Star players like Caitlin Clark are missing significant time because officials refuse to protect them from dirty plays and overly aggressive defenders who know they can get away with almost anything. The implications of this officiating crisis go far beyond missed calls. They're impacting player safety, competitive integrity, and the league's overall credibility. Sophie Cunningham's reaction to getting thrown to the ground with no whistle perfectly captured the growing frustration across the WNBA, and Clark's furious sideline outburst reflected exactly what players, coaches, and fans are feeling. Something needs to change, and fast, before this crisis completely derails what should be a historic and transformative season for women's basketball. The WNBA is experiencing unprecedented growth in popularity and attendance, and the last thing the league needs is for fans to lose interest because games are being decided by incompetent officiating instead of elite basketball talent. Despite all these challenges, the Indiana Fever continue to find ways to win, proving they can compete even without their superstar on the court. But they shouldn't have to battle referees who seem more interested in stirring up drama than enforcing a fair, consistent game. The officials should be enabling, not hindering, the league's brightest stars to showcase their incredible skills on the biggest stage possible. Instead, we're getting chaos and controversy that distract from the incredible athleticism and skill on display each night. Still, when you zoom out, there's plenty of reason for optimism in Indiana. The Fever's 5-game winning streak without Caitlin Clark proves this team has real championship potential when fully healthy and firing on all cylinders. But if they're serious about making a deep run at the WNBA Finals later this year, they'll need more consistent officiating and meaningful contributions from the bench. Sophie Cunningham has emerged as a legitimate star in her own right, and her ability to rise to the occasion, despite terrible officiating and tough road environments, proves she's exactly the kind of player championship teams are built around. When the pressure peaks and the stakes are sky high, Sophie delivers. Every time, that's what separates good players from great ones. And now the real question is whether the rest of the team can rise to Sophie Cunningham's level of intensity and consistency when Caitlin Clark returns and the Fever begin their playoff push. If they can, this team isn't just a postseason threat. They're a legitimate contender if Aaliyah Boston can maintain her recent level of dominance, Natasha Howard keeps providing steady veteran leadership, and Kelsey Mitchell finally finds some shooting consistency. The Indiana Fever could be a serious threat in the playoffs, dangerous enough to make a deep run when it matters most. But for the Fever to truly realize their championship aspirations, they'll need two critical things: improved officiating that allows the game to be decided by talent, not whistles, and meaningful contributions from the bench to support their stars when the pressure ramps up. Without those, even the most talented starting lineup won't be enough.